Friday afternoon. You know what that means.
Yep, it means it's on the rocks. welcome to On the Rocks, the show where Jay and I talk about accounting and accounting adjacent information, mostly as it relates to e-commerce, but not only. Like I mentioned, he. God,
Yeah,
one day I'll
you
get it
got
right.
it. Yeah.
He's Jay. I'm Chris. And we're here to talk to you about all kinds of things. Last week, we talked about nothing because we were celebrating America. The week prior, though, Jay let me talk a lot about financial statements and hit some of the highlights of what you should look for in yours. This week, we're going to talk specifically about one of our favorite third-party apps that can help you to reduce costs and limit the number of accounts you have to log in and all kinds of goodies. One of our favorite partners, one of our favorite people to work with, and that is Ramp. But before we talk about Ramp, what happened since we talked last?
That's a good question.
Yeah, right. I know the biggest headline news is he or isn't he? And I think from a business and tax perspective, I don't know that it makes much difference, right? So the platform's going to be basically the same. It's just a revolving news story, and so all that tax planning stuff is still just as complicated as it was before, because there isn't a lot of clarity of who's going to win, and it just is going to make that little ending part of the year that much more important once we get there.
For sure.
So not a lot to come out of that, but definitely taking up a lot of news time. Not taking up that much news time, but something that I thought was very, very, very interesting was that the IRS they started their initiative to collect on the debts from a bunch of millionaires, and it's brought in $1 billion. So way to go, IRS! They're pursuing just open balances, I guess, with some of the wealthy folks out there, and it's working. I guess when you send enough letters, people start to pay. Jay, any thoughts about the $1 billion the IRS has collected from some wealthy folks?
Well, so apparently the investment that the government has made in the IRS is reaping dividends. So that's good.
There
That's
you
the
go.
whole
That's right.
idea of it. And, my first thought is, all right, these people owe $1 billion. They're earning over $1 million.
Uh-huh.
Are they getting a different phone number than we're getting? Because the story was that they got the letter, they called, and then there was a flurry of activity. So there had to be calls going back and forth. So it was
Yeah,
that, well, not back and
maybe.
forth because the IRS doesn't call you, but documents going out, you calling back in. It's like, okay, how did this all work? Based on what we talked about 2 weeks ago, and
Right,
the interim report from the tax advocate and the call
right.
thing. So I'm really interested about that. So I
Yeah.
doubt that there were special phone
The
lines, but
the millionaires
glad to
hotline. You don't think
see.
there was a millionaires hotline
No,
for big payments or something like that? Yeah, that's pretty funny.
yeah,
But it
that
is,
that exists. Like my congressman telling me he just emails the IRS when he needs something. Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah, but it is really good to see that's happening, right? Like you mentioned, Jay, the funding for the IRS, something worked, because
yeah.
$1 billion in collections can go a really long way.
Well, and
Um,
speaking of that too, I had to file something with the IRS this week, and I went online
yeah,
to the document upload tool. So the investments are still paying dividends because now we have a document upload tool. We don't have to fax it or mail it and hope it doesn't get, shredded or burned. So
well, that is
yeah,
great news.
so yeah,
I didn't realize that, but I think that's fantastic to hear.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
good, good. One thing that I wasn't aware of that I definitely should have been aware of is that Prime Day is on the way. Prime Day has started to do a lot like what Black Friday has, and is creeping out and creeping out and creeping out. And so now it's like Prime Week or something like that. And it's next week. Um, and
Yeah.
so it's time to get ready to get all of your stuff on discount from Amazon. So I know that a lot of the people that we're talking to out there, a lot of e-commerce entities, this is potentially just a huge time of year. might be your biggest, might be your second biggest, but it's an important time. And so obviously, our thoughts are with you as you go into this next week. No outages, great volume. We hope for all of that for all of you. And then on the consumer side, take advantage. Right, this is a good opportunity to get those things. And then, of course, on an accounting side, it means that maybe that higher volume means a little extra cash flow. Maybe it means that there's some extra stuff that you need to be doing from your side to make sure that you fully understand the impacts of Prime Day and how it's impacting your clients. So know that that's coming up next week, and that those payouts from Amazon at the end of July are probably going to be a lot bigger than the past couple. Jay, you had some stats around this. I didn't write them down, but how much does Prime Day generate here?
So Amazon saw 375 million pieces sold during Prime Days, and that was a 25% increase over the year before. So I'm kind of interested in what they're estimating that's going to be this year.
$500 million, maybe.
Yeah.
500 million. That would be amazing.
It very well could be. And it's not just Amazon doing it; its competitors are doing it. We have Walmart in the fray. We now have Target. Actually, this past week was running Circle Weeks. Target lady on TV all week running those ads, and Best Buy is also now in Christmas in July. And
there you go.
It makes me think that's exactly what this is. It's Christmas in July, and when I'm looking at that, it's like this might be the time that's really, let's say you've got some slow moving inventory. This might be a time to just rock bottom prices and get it out. Get it out of the warehouse, get it off the books, bring in a little bit of cash to clear it up, and take that small hit on that write off. So that's where I would be looking at that. And the other stat, based on 2023 and for the entire period and all of online shopping during that period, this total sales was 12.7 billion, and it was up 9% over 2022 year over year. So pretty good, significant number.
Yep, love that. And I think that's a good strategy, Jay. If there's stuff that you're sitting on where you're like, what am I going to do with this stuff? Well, here's your chance. Get it out there, get it on those big platforms, and see if you can't get it moved. This is it's a good opportunity for that.
Yeah.
Any other Prime Day thoughts? Are you scoping anything you wanted to buy?
I'm watching for sure. I don't know if I'm buying. I mean, I have my eye on a few things, but not really what I'm truly looking for.
Sure.
We'll see. You never know what might pop up.
Right.
And we don't know some
if you
of
get the right thing
either. So.
Yeah, there's some good stuff out there, so keep an eye on it.
For sure.
In Intuit news, a couple different things came out in the news this week related to Intuit. The first one is that sounds like Intuit's looking to replace about 1,800 people. I don't know what kinds of roles those people are in, or what they're trying to replace them with. Is this an AI thing, or is this behind the scenes accountants being replaced with outsourced accountants, or what do we know what Intuit's planning here?
They want to bring in more engineering staff.
Oh, okay.
And more front end customer support staff.
Oh, that would probably be a good thing, I think.
But I've seen the story. I've seen some social posts on it. Don't know who's been impacted or not, but there are people making a big deal that these are long-standing Intuit employees that are being let go, and it ebbs and flows in the industry. Every software company has waves of what they're trying to achieve, and they have to shift sales, marketing plans, human resources, labor market, all those things. So just take it as it comes, and I hate it for those 1,800 people being released. I hope they all land on their feet, and wish them the best.
Yeah, right. Now, I saw that are they being replaced, or are they just being relieved?
It says being replaced.
Yeah, and so it's interesting
Yeah.
if like you're talking about, right, they're just changing the way their business looks a little bit,
Yeah.
and especially if they're bringing on engineers and customer service people, that is an interesting thing to think about, because if that's what's happening,
Right.
that means maybe they're investing in some extra like neat technology. Maybe they're looking to make things a little smoother, a little better,
Possibly.
and that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
And then of course, like anytime a company like Intuit, especially with their rep for customer service, anytime they're bringing in customer service people, that means that the complaints have maybe spoken a little, and so
Possibly.
maybe
And,
so.
and that could be a loose term though, customer support. I mean, maybe they're bringing in, live tax help and live bookkeeping help.
True.
And, we did, and I think we talked about, oh, what is his name? He's posting all over Twitter lately on tax. Oh, it's at the top of my head. But he was posting, it's like TurboTax small business tax return, $1,750 was the base. And it's like, and then he interviewed a former employee, and I'm not going to get into that, but
Sure.
yeah. So maybe they're looking for more help to support that. I don't know, but
Maybe.
I'm definitely not in favor of a company that sells the software now doing the tax returns.
I don't think that's
taking business from their partners that use their software. So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, not a big fan of that. Hopefully, that's not what's happening, but it probably is. One other thing that popped up in the news: Biller Genie. They launched their QBD, their QuickBooks Desktop integration, which is an interesting thing to me, because why would you do that? Yeah.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah, desktop. I mean,
yeah.
And the interesting part was they're going to support all versions going back to 2014.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Really
I wonder
interesting.
why.
Yeah. Yeah, considering Intuit is cutting support for desktop,
right?
Yeah, and there are ways to make it live on forever. Just don't use the bank feeds, and But then again, you lose the security things that go along with it that they built into it. So it's crazy.
That does maybe seem like a really interesting business decision. One other piece of news
we just don't know about.
Maybe so. Maybe there's a big QBD market out there. I do keep hearing about people on Enterprise or all these other different desktop versions, and I was like, what? Okay, I guess that's a thing people can do. But it does seem like it's just a dinosaur on the path to extinction. So we will see. I read a story about how Grant Thornton did their CFO survey recently, or released it recently, and as part of that survey, the CFO optimism reached the highest level in 3 years. So that's since COVID, which I think is really, really exciting to see. Right. So despite what sometimes you hear out in the marketplace, it seems like the economy must be doing okay. If CFOs of these companies, the $100 million to like $1 billion in revenue, like they're big companies, but they're optimistic. They're optimistic about where their businesses are going. They're optimistic about the futures of those businesses, and a pretty good substantial chunk of them expected profit increases and overall net income increases as well. So up to 2/3 in most of the numbers that I saw there. I also thought a couple other points, not surprising. 94% of the people that they surveyed, the CFOs that they surveyed, are using or exploring AI. So there's some news no one expected at all, right? Hey, people are looking at AI. But 94 is a really big number. That's the biggest number that I've seen in any of these surveys that I've seen. So it seems like a lot of AI, at least, is very much mainstream, right? It's not something that's coming in the future. It's here now, and using it and interpreting it and using it in a way that can help you and your business. 94% of Grant Thornton CFOs are doing it, right? So if you're not, you're definitely behind the times. if you're not even exploring it. Now, again, we've talked about how there can be drawbacks, and there's definitely like things that you need to consider, and controls and roadblocks and bumpers that you need to put around it. But definitely something that you should be looking at or certainly exploring. Jay, did you have some extra thoughts on AI in the mainstream now?
Yeah, I just have a curiosity. What areas of the business are they going to be using the AI in? I
Yeah,
mean, are they going to use it in their transactional and accounting space, or is
right.
it in the marketing and other
Yeah,
aspects of the business?
yeah.
So,
The article that I read didn't have the like cross sheets for that.
yeah,
But it does call back to one that I'd read a couple weeks ago, or a few weeks, maybe even a couple months ago now, where legal support, like all the document building and that kind
yeah,
of stuff, like that was one big area, and then HR support was another. And so those things that are really big on paperwork, a
hmm,
lot of those were the areas where AI investment was the highest. And Jay, just like you, I'd wonder if is that what these CFOs are thinking too? Is that where they're exploring this, or are
yeah,
they exploring it in the way that their accounting system decides to code their transaction activity from a bank feed?
yeah. I
I do
mean,
think that would be interesting.
so if these companies have a dev team, they can easily integrate AI into what they're using.
Right.
But I have started using make.com, and I can pull data and then push APIs into ChatGPT or Perplex. Well, not Perplexity. I just use that for search. But Anthrop, Anthrop, Claude, into
Claude.
Claude, and come out with that type of information. So it's great
Right.
for that,
Yeah.
and I'm really getting ready. I want to free up some space in my day so I can start playing with it and start
Right.
messing with some transactional stuff moving forward. That's really where I want to go.
Yeah. I
So,
think in the
but
accounting space that there's a lot of value to that particular thing. But like you're talking about from a business perspective, like
for sure,
customer support, customer service, right? You make a little AI chatbot that doesn't
yeah,
suck, and then you may get really good results there. That may be a really powerful thing. You
yeah, for
can
sure,
save someone's time and effort. You can maybe if you could program it to look at reviews of your product on Google or something like that, like and
yeah,
say, hey, is this a good review or a bad review? Do we need to explore this one more? There are a lot of use cases and a lot of areas where I can't wait to see how these CFOs are using AI,
yeah,
and um, and I definitely think they'll be interesting. One other point that the CFOs brought up or brought to light that I thought was interesting um, was that hiring challenges are still critical. 58% of these CFOs, and these aren't in the accounting space, this is across the board, we're saying that attracting and retaining talent are a priority for 2025 and beyond. And so it isn't just accounting that's having issues attracting and retaining talent. It's everybody.
yeah,
Um, and so identifying and being able to set into place like exciting work environment stuff and all the things that can go along with that will I suspect will continue to be things that the companies are trying to do. And a lot of that I haven't really thought about it, so maybe there's some just spitballing thoughts here, but a lot of that could be like who the people in the market are, right? Who that talent that you're obtaining is,
for sure,
because a lot of the younger generations are just more interested in like um, working to be able to have life instead of living for work, like where that means that doing neater stuff or being better to your employees is just more important because there's a lot of competition. There are a lot of roles out there that need to be filled, and so if you're not doing it, someone else might be. Um, so
for
I
sure.
think it will be very interesting over the next 5 to 10 years to see what kind of continued changes there are in just general working conditions, particularly here in the United States, but across the world, really. So we'll see. But attracting and retaining talent's a priority across the board. Not a big surprise, I guess, but being a priority was definitely something I maybe didn't expect that much.
For sure. Well said.
Yeah. Then over the past week, since we talked last, when we talked 2 weeks ago, Beryl was but like a mere little depression or whatever. Didn't have a name yet.
It wasn't even a depression then. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, just like hanging out there. Now it's made a hot mess down on the Gulf Coast. I have not checked, but yesterday it sounded like there were still almost 1 million people without power in Houston. I'm hopeful that they've done a lot. I mean, that was maybe 24 hours ago, so I'm hopeful that number's come down a lot. But that's a really big issue, and so I wanted to talk about that a little bit because we talked about it 2 weeks ago of just kind of being prepared and being thoughtful about that. But now that that's happened, and there's 1 million people without power for almost a week now, or a week plus, or however long it's been, like, what's that mean, right? I know that President Biden had issued a state of emergency for a lot of counties down there in South Texas. Does that mean that we've got some extensions already in place? Like now 10:15 is 11:15 already for Houstonites, or what should we expect there?
So I would expect it for sure. It has not been passed. I checked earlier today. There has been no tax relief for Burrow yet. Historically, wouldn't be November. They normally take it out to January or February at that point.
Oh, okay.
And and then like last year we had one or two. It was one of the last 2 years we had one. They extended it to February, and then we had another one. They extended it to March. So it's like never-ending tax cycles, and it just never ends. But yeah, I would expect that to happen in the next couple of days, and just set that up.
Yeah, and then the other thing is obviously this was earlier than the like first big storm typically. I was reading stuff, but it's been a little while now. Was this one of the earliest Category 5 ones ever, or the earliest?
There was a lot of firsts. It was the earliest major hurricane, earliest Category 4, earliest Category 5, earliest to make such damage. So yeah, and to me, that is a precursor to, and this is what I said 2 weeks ago, is a precursor for this hurricane season. We are going to see them line up. And, originally the forecast had it going straight across Mexico and out to the Pacific. Well, it didn't. It curled up and hit Texas, as we know. So, ordinarily it's Labor Day is when that curve starts happening sooner and comes back to Florida. And it's usually earlier in the season. I think we're going to see that happen earlier this year. So I just suggest anybody in a coastal area on the East Coast or in the Gulf Coast, just be prepared. And one of those ways is, like here in Florida, we have a storm preparation tax holiday, which we already had 2 weeks of that in June. We have another 2 weeks coming up at the end of July into the early part of August. So if your state has that, take advantage of that. I mean, if you're thinking about buying a generator, you can get up to, in Florida at least, you don't pay sales tax during that period on up to a $3,000 generator, which is a pretty substantial generator. So, it could make a huge dent in what you're paying by shopping during that period, and get your batteries, get your tarps, get all of that stuff that you need. That way you are prepared.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously it's most important to do that for you and your family.
Of course.
But as a business owner, or as an entrepreneur, or even as a tax accountant or regular accountant or other kind of accountant or whatever, bookkeeping kind of whatever, being prepared is it's the same thing, right? It's just as important. Like, know where your inventory is, make sure you're thoughtful of that, make sure you're well protected when you need to be. make sure those around you are well protected when they need to be. And
Check
and
check
same
your
with your customers
insurance.
too.
Make
Yeah, you
sure your
do.
insurance is up to date. You have the right value of your insurance on your
So
books in
important.
case there is a problem. You have proof of that. And
Yeah.
the other thing is back up your data and then also
Hmm.
restore your data. Make sure it's actually working so
Yeah,
that
because
you're
when
not
that
left in the cold.
yeah
Yeah,
when the power's off for a week, like or your machines get soaked, like you need to you need a second choice. You need to be
for
able to go
sure.
somewhere to get it back. That
Yep.
is an extremely important thought. So, Jay, you said the name of the hurricane differently than I did, and I assumed that you would actually know. Any other thoughts
It's
on the
Beryl.
hurricane? What was its name? Beryl. Oh, it's
Beryl.
not okay. Beryl. All right,
Yeah,
fantastic.
my entire family's
Any
like,
other
no, it's
thoughts?
Burl. No, it's
Beryl.
Beryl. And like
Beryl.
they'll
Beryl.
hear it on the TV, like, oh, wait, maybe we were wrong.
Any other thoughts about Beryl?
No, just get out
All
of
right.
here. Be done with it. Let's let's get through this hurricane season as quickly
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah. Let's hope that that happens. Here we go.
Yes.
And then the last little bit of what I wanted to talk about today are our news and notes. Obviously, last week was a holiday, and anytime holidays come up, they are a really good reminder in my mind. And then also, I read an article about this too. It's a reminder of take time for yourself. Right, July 5th was a great day for that. If you didn't do it, that's okay. But it is July now, right? It's hot outside. It's lots of people are traveling for summer as kids are out of school and all of those types of things. So make sure you take time for yourself. We'll probably keep reiterating that over time here. We did an entire episode about it in the past, so look back for that one. But yeah, personal time is really important. And as you can see, Jay is coming to us from not home because he is taking a little bit of personal time this weekend. And so, Jay, I know we talked a little bit about this, but I'd love to hear you. You got a couple stories from the
Yeah.
past week that are worth sharing.
Yes, most definitely. So yeah, we drove up here on Wednesday, and it was a long day. Normally we break the drive up and do part of it the night before, but we brought our pup up with us. So Callie's here with
Mm,
us. She's actually lying beneath my feet right now.
yeah,
So if you see me dancing, she's moving around down there. But
nice.
so yeah, this is usually an annual thing for us. We come up here, we do some relaxing. This is like my
Yeah.
wife's happy place. We're up on the western side of North Carolina, up in the mountains.
Oh,
Normally we
okay. Yeah.
stay at Wendy's friend's place on the other side of town. It's got a creek
Hmm.
running through it, and just go out there and listen to that in the morning, drinking your coffee. It's amazing. We're at a house off a highway. So I would love to have done this outside, but you'd hear the cars riding out there. But
Oh, okay. Well,
so
well, I don't know what to tell. I will tell you
yeah,
this before you continue on. Like, whatever you did inside the house, though, this lighting is fantastic. So,
well, compared to what
um,
you saw the other day, right?
uh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it looks great.
and that was funny. Abby's like, "Dad, you shouldn't sit over there because you're gonna look orange." I'm like, "No, I already looked orange. I got it fixed." So it's just knowing how to set your settings on your camera. So yeah,
That's right.
this is actually this is not an ideal lighting setup, but it
Yeah,
looks really good when I'm looking
it
at
does
it.
look great.
And you'll notice I'm looking down here when my camera's up way up there. So
Uh,
it's a little awkward because I don't have things lined up the way I really do. But
oh, okay.
so
Yeah, sure.
yeah, and normally we come up here and we have a lot of fun, go tubing, which my wife and daughter did today. But
Hmm.
last night, actually, let's step back for a moment. We're here because my wife is having a party for her friend's birthday, and all of her family's here and everything. So last night we were invited to go see The Wizard of Oz, and we are in Laurel Springs. We're between Jefferson, North Carolina, and near Boone. Well, this was in Abington, Virginia, and we had to
All right.
drive 70 some odd miles up and over and through the mountains to get there.
Oh, all
And
right.
it's usually a drive I reserve for Bristol weekend, that
Hmm.
3 days back and forth up and over the mountains.
Yeah,
And so this one coming back at 11 o'clock last night, got
yeah.
that deer in the headlights look twice. So
Oh
it
no.
was an interesting drive home,
Yeah.
and luckily Abby slept through most of it. And then at the very end, she woke up and, Dad, you gotta slow down, do this. And I'm like, don't worry about it. And then the first deer pops up and stopped,
Mm.
and then the second deer pops up. She goes, I need to go to sleep. I can't see this. It's making me nuts. So, and my wife has a fear because 3 years ago, she was making this trip up on her own. She was driving from
Hmm.
Charlotte on the interstate, and a deer popped out and hit her rental car.
Oh no.
And so that has ever since, it's like, watch out for the deers, watch out for the deers. So
Right.
she's in the back seat listening to something, and every now and then she said, "Do you see that one?" I'm like, "Yes, I did." But and
Oh,
note
funny.
there, if you are renting a car, check your credit cards on what damage waiver your credit card covers, because
Mm.
your Amex card says it's got the collision damage waiver. No, it's second. It's secondary to your primary insurance, so it doesn't cover it.
Mm.
Note to yourself,
Yuck.
check that, because only certain cards are primary on that when you're renting a car. So enough
Oh
of that.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Was the
and
show
then,
good though, Jay?
huh? The show
Was the
was
show good?
amazing.
All right, that's good
It
to
was
hear.
so good. And the actors were great. The music was great. I mean, this small little theater, and they had all the effects. And you thought you were sitting there in a tornado. It was spinning around in there, and it was all
Oh
effects. It was
wow,
great. It was
that's
wonderful.
amazing.
Left there so happy, and got in the car, and
And
yeah,
then like, oh no, it's
I was
another
like, oof.
hour and a half.
Got home, and I was like, okay, that actually was worth it, because it was really fun.
Good.
It was a great show.
That's good.
And
I'm glad to hear that.
and following that, with
Yeah.
only some other good news. And normally, I think the next question is, what are we drinking today? Well, I'm drinking water today because I didn't bring anything with me. But
Oh.
my drink of choice is the bourbon.
Yeah.
And one of my two favorite drivers won the Chicago street race last week. That would
Yeah.
be Alex Bowman, and he broke an 80 race winless streak. Well,
Wow. Look at
in
him go.
his winner's interview, he says, "I'm going to drink a shitload of bourbon tonight," and then went on with a few more things. And dang it, if on Wednesday, or actually it was Tuesday afternoon, he's like, "Yeah, I'm on my second day of my hangover. It hasn't gone away yet." So he
Oh
followed
my
through.
word.
So
Yeah.
it was a great win
Wow.
for Alex and the
Alex Bowman.
48 team. And yeah,
Congratulations to him. Good job. Woo.
so
Yeah.
there you go. Looking forward to
There
this
you
weekend.
go.
Yeah.
So today, like you mentioned, it's drink of choice time. It sounds like you're drinking water today. I am drinking the light at the end of the tunnel.
Nice.
No, wrong way. So
Yeah.
that is from Equilibrium Brewery, and I thought it was pretty. It's not as relevant today as it will be in like October. But it was. And then actually, because I'm almost done with that one. Actually, I also have the Friday IPA, which is definitely appropriately named for today. So
Now,
that's
has
what
that
I'll
got
head.
some condensation on the outside of that, or is that the can?
Yeah,
The artwork on
it's hot here, Jay. You
that?
mentioned earlier that it's like
Yeah.
whatever, like amazing in the mountains of North
Yes.
Carolina. Well, in Frisco, Texas, 96 today,
Oh yeah.
so it's a little bit warm. And so yeah, it's been sitting on the desk here for a while.
Yeah, I hear ya.
We're about to crack that guy open and enjoy a Friday IPA to
there
celebrate
you go.
Friday. That one's from Martin House over in Fort Worth. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to celebrating Friday with a Friday IPA. Any other news, notes? Any other stuff to talk about there, Jay?
Nothing on top of my mind at the moment.
All right, well, let's get to it. Like I mentioned at the top, there are a lot of companies out there that we like, and a lot of companies that we like to use. Our clients and business owners like yourselves, like everybody, right? Like a lot of folks out there, they often have two pretty substantial complaints when it comes to their like bill pay and their AP cycle. Generally, like the first one is like, I have like 100 credit cards. I have to log into all these things, 5 different banks. Like this is just a pain, right? I want this to be easier. I want this to be more simple. And then everything is so expensive. Like I have to pay for this thing, I have to pay for that thing, I have to pay for this other thing. Like I want to be able to cut my costs. And so like I mentioned, our favorite solution to accomplish this is Ramp. And I felt like the like hair club for men guy when I was writing this down, of like not only am I talking about them today, but I'm also a user, because we also use Ramp at HiRock. I actually have the Ramp card right here. So we are not only do we like when our clients use them, we like to use them ourselves. And there's a whole lot of reasons why that is, and that's exactly what we want to talk about today. First, it's important to talk about like the cost, right? We just talked about that. My personal favorite thing about Ramp is that while they do offer some tiered solutions with some upgrades and all that kind of stuff, the basic product and the most appropriate product for just about all of their users is free. That's right. It's a free version. Like you don't have to pay for it. You can use the system without having to pay for most of it. Right. It's most appropriate for like any small business. And so that's really appealing. That's a really good price point. Now, of course, you have to pay for certain types of transactions, or again, if you tier up to different levels, there can be charges, but the basic one, the one that will do just about what any small business needs, is free, which is fantastic. They also offer a whole a variety of different service options. Right, they do a lot of things. The first one is that card that you use, the little card that I showed here. Right, when you use it, you get 1.5 rewards. Like you get 1.5%. Back that you can just use, which is a really competitive rate. I was really when I first learned about Ramp and that they offered that, I was really surprised, because that's pretty competitive with some of the cards that I've had for a long time. So I think that's great. The main function of Ramp is that credit card expense management, right? And so it helps you to easily code your transactions into a variety of different accounting softwares, and manage expenses in that way. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the features associated with that expense management, because there are lots and lots of them. And then recently they even expanded out into bill pay. So it's not just credit card stuff anymore. It also includes your regular AP payment cycle stuff. So the entire expense cycle you can now manage it under one platform. And then I only learned about this week, and it may be out there longer than that, right? So if I wasn't paying attention to some notice or some email that came through, sorry about that, Ramp. But you can also book travel right through their website. So I have done that with my own credit card points through Chase, and so they have a very similar feature. And I actually used it the other day because I'm going to ZeroCon in another month or so, and I need to get out there. And so. That wasn't the one I was looking for. I was looking for Camp A2X. We're going to Camp A2X at another month after that. So in 2 months' time, and I was looking for flights to Canada, and so I used that feature to go search for flights, and it was right there. It was really easy to use, nice and easy click through. No complaints. So I didn't finish the booking because I need to talk to my wife about exactly when I need to leave and when I need to come back. But it was very good to know that it's there, and that it works so nicely. So big fan of that. So using all of those different service lines, there's a lot of value that creates. And so the first one is like you can cut back and eliminate the need to use like a paid AP app, because this one's free. Then then you can also consolidate and eliminate multiple logins, because you don't have to log into all these different accounts anymore. You can because of some of the things and functions that exist there within Ramp, you can build efficiencies in your back office, because you can make everything easier, make everything get into your systems easier and more effectively. And then one other thing that you can do is that um, you can you can institute effective internal controls, right? You can make sure people are reviewing and approving appropriately, or you can put limits in place around people's spending and things in that nature. And so we may have started off in the very, very, very first episode of this show talking about internal controls around AP, or maybe it was the second episode. But like we talked a long, long time ago about how important that can be for small businesses to institute and control your money. And so because of that, this is a perfect opportunity, and this is a perfect way to do that, right? You can layer in those controls without it hampering or hindering the way that your systems are working. And so, Jay, what things did I not talk about that you love about Ramp?
Well, what I love about it as a user is I use my
Yeah,
card, and I actually have way too much set up because I get notified through the app. I get a text message, so I'm getting every notification out there, which I need to pare back. But hey, we need your receipt. You upload your receipt, and you get actually you have emails coming in with receipts on monthly services that are recurring. You just forward it, and you could just send it to receipts@ramp.com, and they get auto applied. So that's
mm,
great. Some of the things that we have done, there's some granular things that we've requested on receipts. So like with meals and entertainment, or just meals. So you're supposed to report who that meal was with. So you could turn that on and be able to capture that information based on the type of charge it is. So it helps process the data that you need, whether it's for transactional accounting or if it's for compliance or other reasons.
right.
Um, I love the fact that if I use my card, I can submit a reimbursement and get paid and get those funds transferred right into my bank account. That's awesome. Uh,
That's fantastic.
let's see what else was out there.
Well, no, and I think so. Before you tell me about more stuff,
Yeah,
I do want to just highlight too, like as a business owner, like
yeah,
sure, those alerts may be annoying, but they can be really valuable because
for sure.
they tell you what your people are spending money on. And so, especially if you have a smaller team or you want to make sure that you still are in the loop of what's going on, um, this can be this is a great opportunity to because those notifications they don't always have to come as text messages, right? You can get them in
Right.
your email, and you can see exactly what your team's working on. The Ramp interface is also really easy to use. And so you can see there also what people
Yeah,
are spending on um, and get a good feel for what's going on in your business. And
most definitely.
in fact, one of the features that we wanted to highlight too was there was Ramp's spend programs. And so, Jay, you want to talk a little more about spend programs?
Yeah. So, let's say your firm has a wellness benefit and you pay everybody $25 a month. You could assign everybody in your company a card and set that up to automatically drop that $25 on there every month. And that allows them to use that fund and then use the receipt function to fund those receipts back in there. And, it can be used for, let's say, parking or transportation or other other benefits that you may have in your firm. So I think that's a great, or in your company. I think that's a great way to use it and a great time saver that you're not having to administer that and have to,
Yeah,
send those funds out. Um, Also, along those lines is, and I was trying to remember what it was before, and I just lost it again. Oh man, killing me here.
that's all right.
Um, what was it? Oh, and basically, you could actually pre-program where these expenses are going to go on your GL. So,
Mm,
even if you're not using a firm like us, you can do that and set that up so that that airline is always going to go to this expense, and that way you can automatically push those transactions right into zero for yourself, and it's building efficiency in what you're doing. That's
yeah,
ultimately what we're trying to do, is build efficiency while we're saving
yeah,
money on it at the same time.
yeah. No, and I think that Ramp is a really good partner for that. Um, I hadn't really heard much about Ramp before I came to High Rock, and then after like of course, and I can't remember what it's called, but like the day after we were talking about it, and I got my first like virtual ramp card with a set spending limit for a
Right.
flight from a prior year. That like the next week, I saw a ramp billboard like on the way to go take that flight or whatever it was, like maybe a month later or whatever. But like just a
Yeah.
couple weeks later, of course, there's the ramp billboard down the tollway here in Dallas. Um, they're trying to get out there. They're clearly they clearly want to make their product great, and they take feedback and definitely want to make sure that that you like what you're doing there, that you like
Most
what you're
definitely.
using.
Yeah,
Um,
and the head of accounting partnerships, I think that's what his role is. Is a former Zero, and he was great. I loved working with him at Zero, and Brad has done
yeah,
a great job over there, building a great team over there that actually pays attention to the needs of the clients, and can't
yeah,
say enough about them. Yeah,
yeah.
great,
Well, yeah,
great
and
bunch of people.
so I guess even I just described it, but we really didn't talk about it previously. Is like another function that you have, right? Is you can like silo out costs. This card can only be used for X, Y, and Z type
Right.
thing, and or you can provide your employees with virtual cards that are allowed that have a set spending limit on it. Of here's your card, you can use it. Um, it is a virtual card. You can use it. It's not the physical copy like the one that I showed a minute ago, um, but they can be set to all kinds of different spending things so that your people can spend the money the way that they need to, but also the way that you want them to. Um,
Yeah.
and then like Jay was talking about, you can manage it, monitor it, and then also if they've got other expenses outside of ramp that you can get the funds back to them quickly and effectively. So uh, ramp is a great product. I uh, I really I've really had a pleasant experience working with it when I've used it, and then I hear great things about it on our client side as well.
Yeah, the controls that you're referring to. So
Yeah,
on a virtual card, you can tie it to a specific vendor, so it can only be used at this vendor.
yeah.
And then you could also tie it to a monthly spend, an annual spend, a one-time spend. So there are a lot of different things that you could do with it and ensure that you are controlling your spend. Now, the other thing about it is you can actually spin up, it's an unlimited number of cards. So you could actually
Oh,
create a card for every vendor you're using it with. And that kind of isolates that should something happen to a card, in this day of issues popping up
sure.
in
Yep.
from credit card leaks and things like that. So should something happen and that card gets exposed, you kill that card off, you replace it with a new one, you get the new number, you let the vendor know, and you're all set. You're not having to do that across every vendor that you're using. And that really,
Yeah.
another efficiency in that, because if you've ever had to do that with an Amex card and you use the same card across 25 different vendors,
Oh, horrible.
you're on the phone or you're on their portals, and it's taking forever to get those things changed.
Right. Yeah. That is a that's a huge thing. So I'm glad that ramp does that. That provides a lot of value, no question. Um, what other features or what other things you want to talk about ramp today?
Well, I will
Like a
say
favorite
that
ramp story?
my favorite ramp story. My favorite ramp story was I had a client go on it, and I'm going through. This was like 3 years ago. It's when they were just out before I came on to High Rock, and
Mm.
clients using it, and they had like 122 transactions that were out of compliance. So it's like,
Yeesh.
hey, I reached out to them and I said, hey, you got to start doing this. And they didn't set, and of course, they set it up on their own and told me about it after the fact.
Mm.
So, I got word about it about 2 months after they started using it. So I went in and set up all of the profiles for the vendors and everything, and went from doing all that work in that first time. And like I said, I assigned all the accounts and everything. And next thing you know, came in and there were like 6 transactions left. And
Wow.
managing by exception is great, and you don't have to spend all that time looking at every transaction and coding it. So
Yeah, huge,
yeah,
huge. Well, I'm glad for that. What else? What else, Jay? What else do we want to talk about with Ramp today?
there's one other thing that I want to talk about,
Yeah,
and this is what
yeah,
I couldn't remember. So they also have a cost savings feature. So number one, they can detect duplicate subscriptions. So let's say you have multiple subscriptions to Adobe. It will pop up and say, hey, you have, here are your payments, and it looks like you have multiple accounts. So it helps you there identify those, but it also will go through and identify those accounts that what you're paying and identify any discounts that are available for you to take advantage of. So
yeah.
that
I
is
forgot
also
about
out
that.
there.
It's a really, really cool feature.
Yes, for sure.
Um, because they have obviously lots of people are using Ramp,
Yep.
and when lots of people are using Ramp, Ramp has a lot of data about like what they're using Ramp for, and so they can get a good understanding of whether you're getting the right kind of deal for the type of business that you are for the thing that you're paying for. And if I remember right, too, when I looked at that the most recent time, like there's a whole like platform or dashboard around it where you can go like search. Hey, I'm looking for
Yep.
this kind of service. I want to like you said, maybe I want to upgrade to Adobe Premiere. What's good pricing for that? Like what's the right price
Yep.
there? And and it's right there on the website. Like you don't have to go out to anywhere else to look for it. It's just right there in the Ramp interface. So
Yeah, they do a
um,
great job with that.
yeah, that is a really really useful function and definitely one of the things that we should have highlighted. Is absolutely true. I'm glad you remembered it, Jay.
Oh man, it was
That's
killing me because I had it in my notes and my phone died. Well, it didn't die. I'd
um,
have to go back in and open it back up. And as you
mm,
can tell, it's getting dark here as well because it's
yeah.
storming over there. So it's getting
Um,
dark in here. So yeah, it's getting to
yeah.
that point. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear
And
that.
Callie's
Which
rustling here too. She almost knocked
getting
the camera
restless.
over.
Kelly knows. Kelly knows that it's
Yeah.
almost time to leave. So, so wonderful. Anything else that you want to say about Ramp today, Jay? Anything else that we should let
Well,
our
I will say
let's
that
talk
I'm
about
going to
hear
drop
about?
a link in the comments that we have here.
Mm,
We actually have a program with Ramp where if you sign up through our link and there are some restrictions, you have to spend like $1,000, and once you've made that payment, they will actually drop you a $500 virtual card for you to use. So it's a free $500 in your bank account. So another perk that they have out there. So great tool, saves you money, gives you money.
Gives you
What more
money,
can you say?
right? You can't
So
say much
yeah,
more.
definitely be watching out for that.
Yeah, and if you have any questions about it too, of course, like reach out in the comments. Let us know. I'm really interested in that. Can you tell me more? We obviously we would love to help you make sure that you're doing all you can to save money and to make your systems and processes as easy as possible. Um, all right. So then finally, what's going on next week, Jay? I know uh, I can imagine you've got some birthday festivities or something going on this weekend.
This weekend for sure, we have a square
Yeah,
dance party tomorrow from 1 till whenever. So
yeah.
looking forward to seeing
Are
that.
you square dancer, Jay?
And I am not, but Abby has watched all the videos and she's going to be giving all the grandkids and all the kids a lesson tomorrow before they start. So I might pay
Wow.
attention a little bit. I've watched some of it. Yeah, and
Uh,
I am a championship dancer after all.
right.
I did throw
And,
that out at the dance competition last weekend too. That I won a dance competition just like them. So yeah, it didn't hold any water there either. So
oh, too
so
funny.
yeah, so that and then I'm looking forward to going tubing on Sunday, and then
Yeah.
Monday we're leaving here before the sun rises, and hopefully get home before the sun sets,
Fingers
and
crossed.
then
How far is it up there,
jump
Jay?
into work. It's nonstop. It's a 9.5 hour drive.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's like one Texas width.
right. Yeah,
So yeah, that's pretty far. Um, yeah.
it's not a bad
Any
drive
any
coming up though. I will say that.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Anything else coming up this week for you, Jay?
No, I'm just jumping into to a bunch of tax work next week and
Oh,
some of those things that we all
hopefully
love
you
during the
will
summer.
have the light at the end of the tunnel before too long, Jay. Hopefully you will have the light at the end of the tunnel. I
Your mouth to
will.
God's ears.
I don't have any plans this weekend, which is super exciting. That means baby time, wife time. We're gonna go to IKEA, but I don't remember why. So that will be fun to remember why we were planning a trip to IKEA. Um, and so it should be a good week. And it's hot up here, but I know baby will want to go to the park. And then over the next couple weeks, we've got some small things going on. So should be a good time. Any parting thoughts, Jay, or anything else that you wanted to talk about today?
Parting thoughts. Yes. Uh,
We add this as a section to the broadcast every time here. Parting
yeah.
thoughts with
I
Jay.
wish I could type better. That's my number one parting
There you go.
thought.
Parting thought. Spend time typing. Nice.
Uh, yeah, I'm trying to
Well,
put that link out here real quick. So
no worries,
it's
Jay.
there. It's
Yeah,
all
there
out
you
there.
go.
So check that out.
Use it.
So
Get that money.
yes,
It'll be great.
for sure.
It'll be great. It'll be great. It'll be great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you all for listening, for watching, for spending time with us today. Um, we will be back next week to talk about who knows what. We'll figure it out between now and then. But I hope you take some time to investigate Ramp, to do some diligence around Ramp, even if you haven't, if you've never heard of them before. Take some time to learn about them. They are a great program and a great platform, and and I really do like using them. I think they're great. And then of
Right
course,
there with you.
we'll be back next week with whatever comes out of this week. It doesn't sound like it might be summertime. It seems like lots of people are on vacation. Not a lot of news happening, but we'll be back next week to talk about whatever happens, and then whatever our heart desires. So have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Have a great weekend,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.